Joining me this morning on this Monday morning from Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty, I just call them all some of the greatest, patriots, the greatest people that are in the conservative movement. So very grateful that they are working on behalf of our freedoms and liberties here in Wisconsin. Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty attorney Dan Lennington. Good morning, Dan. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on, Meg.
You are welcome. Okay, so let's talk about and I reached out to you. There are a myriad of topics we can discuss. I want to get to the Milwaukee County Judge Hannah Dugan in a second, but before that, let's talk about the dairy farmer in Chilton, Wisconsin. I know we've talked about this before. Someone from Will and I have talked about this before, but there are some updates on this particular issue with regard to DEI, these racially discriminatory programs, and farmers here in Wisconsin and beyond.
Yes, the Biden administration really loaded up on DEI against our farmers during its 4 years and implemented all sorts of programs that discriminate against farmers in the programs that they're eligible for and the protections they have and the benefits. And the Trump administration in other areas has been very good at unraveling DEI, but with regard to farmers, there's still a number, we think about 24 programs that still affect farmers every day, and we wrote a letter to the USDA threatening a lawsuit on behalf of Adam Faust, a dairy farmer from Chilton, Wisconsin, over some discriminatory programs that are impacting him. He is required to pay a certain fee to get insurance coverage from USDA, and if he was a black farmer, he would not be required to pay that fee. He's also refinancing his property and has discovered that if he was a non-white farmer, he would get a better interest rate and a better deal for the refinance through the USDA. And also, he is applying to upgrade his manure storage facility and has discovered that, again, if he was a non-white farmer, he would be eligible for more in the form of a grant from NRCS. And so we have written a letter and demanded that these discriminatory programs with regards to grants and insurance and refinancing of loans, that they be made race neutral. And we were very excited last week because the Wisconsin congressional delegation, Representatives Wied, Steil, Van Orden, Grothman, Tiffany, and Fitzgerald all signed a letter in support of Adam Faust to Brooke Rollins, the Secretary of Agriculture, demanding that she unravel and unwind the Biden-era DEI programs that are discriminating against farmers every day, specifically the programs with regards to dairy farmers and grant programs and loan refinancing, which are things that impact farmers every single day. And if we can't treat our farmers in a race-neutral and equal and fair manner, then we don't have a lot of hope for the rest of us. It's one of the most important parts of our economy, and we're not going to be a free and secure country unless we have access to a secure food supply, and our farmers are the backbone of our food supply, and we should do everything we can to support them, but not give special DEI race-based benefits to farmers. That is just completely unfair and unsupported by vast majorities of American voters and population in general. So that's what we've asked for, and we're very, very happy that the Wisconsin delegation is standing up for farmers. I should say the Wisconsin Republican delegation is standing up for farmers. So that's our news on Adam Faust right now.
Okay, so assuming it gets to fast-tracked to Trump, can he issue an executive order that would take care of this?
He has issued multiple executive orders that would already have directed the USDA to fix these things, but for some reason the USDA, it's a big giant bureaucracy, and the Secretary of Agriculture has not been as aggressive as we would like her to be in dismantling these programs. Other agencies have been doing a fantastic job. Pete Hegseth at the Department of Defense, and Sean Duffy at the Department of Transportation. All these other agencies, Marco Rubio at State, have been doing really good jobs at unraveling the DEI that Biden tried to, put in every nook and cranny of every department. But USDA is lagging behind, and we are really encouraging them to speed it up. It's been over 100 days now, and there's no reason why Biden's discriminatory policies should still be on the books and still hurting farmers every single day.
So, do you believe that the head of the USDA should be, I guess removed from her position? Well,
that's hard to say right now. We are encouraging her. We have threatened to sue her. The Wisconsin delegation is trying to get her attention. If she does not respond to this next month, we are going to sue her and take her to court. And she's doing a lot of great things with other issues with our farming and our agriculture, especially in the exports and making deals with countries through the trade negotiations. Right now, we're going to be exporting a lot more beef in this around the world based on her efforts. And so there are good things she's doing, but on this one area with regard to DEI, there's, let's just say, room for improvement. And so I'm going to be charitable to her and say that she just needs to hurry up, and we'll give her the benefit of the doubt. But hopefully this gets all unraveled pretty soon, so that we can get back to the business of supporting our farmers and making our agriculture as strong as possible.
Wow, hurry up. That's the first time I've heard an attorney express any impatience on my show, because I know you have to have a lot of patience to be in your field, and I do not have any patience. So I hope it happens. I mean, I guess you've now said you've drawn a line in the sand, and this is it. The jig is up, right?
That's right. And there are lots of ways to support farmers, and I should just put in a shameless plug here. One of the things that farmers have been doing in the last few years is to have wedding barns. I don't know if you're familiar with the Evers administration attempt to shut down wedding barns, and we've been defending wedding barns in court. We actually are having an event that's open to the public on Tuesday, June 10th at Folk Farm in Wausau. Tickets are available at will-law.org/events. And you can go on our website and to look out and see when we're going to be having our event there in Wausau, and get tickets. But we'd love to have you. Our attorneys will be there. We'll have a little program and talk about the cases we're working on, talk about Act 10 and school choice and our fight for farmers, our fight, to preserve wedding barns. And it's June 10th, 5 p.m., Folk Farm in Wausau.
Any idea who the MC is, Dan Lennington?
I think it's Meg Elson, who is, one of the top radio hosts in the state of Wisconsin. And so we are very, very happy to have you as our MC for that, Meg.
This was completely unplanned, FYI, for whoever's listening. I was thrilled that you said that, because I have this there are a number of events that are going on, obviously, beginning towards the end of May, and there was one last weekend too. So thank you for mentioning it. And again, as Dan has said, I know exactly where this farm is. It's Rib Mountain, but $25 a person. And Tuesday, June 10th, happy hour at 5 p.m. Program begins at 6, wrapped up by 7:15. So for those who are, early risers and what's the opposite of rising? Sleeping. It will be good for you. But again, I will MC it, and of course you'll have an opportunity. Are you going to be there, Dan Lennington?
Yes, I will be there. Excellent. And our top attorneys will be there, ready to answer questions and talk about what we're doing on the legal side, what we're doing with the legislature on the policy side, and hopefully it'll be a fun and uplifting event, and people will be filled with hope for the future of liberty in Wisconsin, which I know it's hard to feel hopeful sometimes, but we have got a lot of hope because what we do at Will is we win. We win all the time, and we have more plans for winning in the future. So you can come out to our event on June 10th, and we'll talk to everybody about that.
Yeah, will-law.org for tickets, and then I believe there's either a link or you can just do will-law.org/events, and you'll get information on tickets. But I, of course, will now that we've revealed what's going on, I'll continue to remind our listeners about this upcoming event. Look forward to seeing you, Dan Lennington, in Wausau. So looking very much forward to it. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. It'll be a very good event.
All right, so let's talk. As we discussed via messaging last week, the Judge Hannah Dugan situation is heating up, and I'm curious. Do you think she's going to get off with a slap on the wrist?
Well, she's been now formally indicted by a federal grand jury for a felony and a misdemeanor crime relating to her concealment of a person subject to an arrest warrant and obstruction of justice. These are very serious crimes. The judge that she has drawn in the Milwaukee area is Judge Edelman, who I think the best thing to say is that it's probably the best draw she could have gotten for a judge. He is now presented with a motion to dismiss from her legal team, who is claiming that she was acting as a judge when she was obstructing justice, when she was concealing a person subject to a valid arrest warrant. And because she was acting as a judge, she is entitled to complete judicial immunity, absolute judicial immunity. Apparently wearing a robe gives you some sort of shield from all sorts of crimes, but that is her argument. She's actually citing the United States versus Trump case, in which the U.S. Supreme Court said that presidents are entitled to absolute immunity for actions taken in their role as president. So she's actually embracing the Trump arguments, which is another irony here. But yes, the indictment could be dismissed based on this motion, and then the government, the Trump administration, would have to appeal it to the Seventh Circuit. And so, I don't want to bet on what's going to happen, but it is definitely a possibility that the indictment gets dismissed and that this heads into the appeals courts and could even go to the U.S. Supreme Court, which would have to decide the question of whether a state court judge is entitled to absolute immunity when she interferes with a arrest of an illegal alien by federal law enforcement officers, which I don't think is a very difficult question, but you never know how judges are going to be deciding things. And so that case, I think it's safe to say, is probably going to be tied up in the courts for at least the next several months, and she's probably not going to face trial. I wouldn't say this calendar year, but it will have to be worked out in the appeals court to see whether she actually can be indicted for these crimes.
In the meantime, she's suspended without pay, right? Or with pay?
Yes, she's suspended with pay. Wisconsin Constitution prohibits judges from serving in office if they are convicted of a felony. And I think that the Wisconsin Supreme Court rightly decided that because the felony charges were pending, that while they're pending, that her ability to hear cases should be put on hold. She is presumed innocent until she's convicted and a judgment of conviction is entered against her. So yes, she's presumed innocent, but it is probably a good idea to put her judicial activities on hold while these things are pending. And it is with pay, but she has the benefit of a right to defend herself in court. And so she has a constitutional right like everyone else. So let's just wait and see how this shakes out and see if she pleads guilty or see if a jury convicts her. but it will likely be several months before we'll figure all that out.
So I'm a cynic, and maybe this makes sense, at least her defense now. It makes sense why the Supreme Court unanimously made this, the Wisconsin Supreme Court unanimously made the decision to suspend her, because I didn't believe it was going to happen. Did that surprise you?
Well, it was surprising, but on the other hand, it would be quite a distraction for her to be hearing cases, including cases that may involve illegal aliens while these charges are pending. So I think it's probably best for everybody that she does not hear cases and does not continue in her role as a judicial officer while these charges are pending. I mean, they are very serious. She probably actually doesn't want to continue as a judge during this case. I certainly wouldn't if I was facing these sort of charges. She's going to want to focus on her defense and not be distracted with a caseload. So I was not necessarily surprised that they suspended her. It does seem like a practical resolution to what's going on, at least temporarily, while we see whether she's going to get convicted or not. In the meantime, the lesson for your listeners out there is that when law enforcement is attempting to exercise an arrest warrant against someone, you should not interfere with that process, because that is, in fact, a crime to interfere or obstruct justice. And so even if you have a very strong objection to what law enforcement is doing and you really don't think they should be doing it, it's best to get out of their way. We have a rule of law in this country, and our law enforcement officers are just trying to do their jobs and enforce the law. And if you have objections about the law, what you can do is you can go to the legislature, or you can vote to elect different legislators or congressmen who can change the law. But in the meantime, if a police officer is trying to arrest someone, best to get out of the way. Or you may find yourself charged with an obstruction of justice like Judge Dugan.
All right, so I just went to see using our friend the AI, and it looks like an average ICE agent gets paid in Wisconsin about $60,000 a year. An average Wisconsin Circuit Court judge gets paid about $180,000 a year. So she's now suspended from her job. So I don't know if that means that she still does administrative duties, or if she's completely banned from the courthouse, even in her office until this is settled. But imagine the discrepancy between those numbers and the fact that the Wisconsin taxpayers are still paying for her salary to sit off the bench, I guess.
Yeah, I think if there's one campaign issue that anybody could put out there and people could get behind, is that our law enforcement officers deserve more support and higher pay. And I think that's pretty universal, and I don't know why we can't help these people who are out there, men and women, putting their lives on the line every day in dangerous situations. Our police, our sheriffs, our federal law enforcement officers are out there just trying to protect us, and we should give them all the support we have. And hopefully at some point we'll get an attorney general in Wisconsin who likes to support law enforcement once again. We get U.S. attorneys in Madison and Milwaukee that support our federal friends. And we get a governor who doesn't have a knee-jerk reaction against law enforcement whenever anything ever goes sideways. So they're the backbone of what keeps us safe. And we're here able to do our jobs and take care of our families, not having to worry about safety, because there are men and women out there willing to do that dangerous job. So it is a shame that she's going to be getting paid $180,000 while she's basically on leave for the next several months, while the ICE agents who are just trying to do their job get about a third of that. So that is pretty outrageous.
No pressure or anything, but you did mention Attorney General. Any chance that Dan Lennington might be the next Attorney General here in Wisconsin?
Well, what I like to do, Meg, is win, and what we do at Will is we win a lot, and so we're winning for liberty, and that's what we're focused on right now. So, we do have very important elections in 2026, and I think the voters in Wisconsin are going to have to make a big decision whether they want to be going in the way of Illinois, or if they want to be a liberty-loving and rule of law state. And I think it's going to remain to be seen what our voters want to choose. So it's going to be a difficult next couple of years here.
I had to ask, so sorry. Well, Dan Lennington, thanks for joining me. Look forward to seeing you in June, specifically Tuesday, June 10th, right here in Wausau, and yours truly will MC that event. You can get tickets, will-law.org/events, and $25 includes, I think, 2 beverages and happy hour appetizers. So join us for that fun evening on Tuesday, June 10th. Dan Lennington, keep up the great work. Thanks for all you do. I appreciate it. Look forward to our next conversation, which will be in June. Well, if not sooner, here on the show.
Sounds great. Thank you, Meg.